Stop whatever you're doing right now. Because what I'm about to show you affects your paycheck, your home, your retirement, and your kids' future. And most people have absolutely no idea it's happening. The American middle class, the very foundation of this country's economic identity, is vanishing. And the data we're looking at right now in 2026 tells a story that should alarm every single one of you watching this video. Let's get into it. Here's a number to start with. In 1971, 61% of Americans were considered middle class. By 2023, that figure had collapsed to just 51%, according to Pew Research. That's a 10-point drop in 5 decades. And if you think the trend has reversed since then, think again. The economic challenges piling up in 2026 are making it harder than ever to hold on to that status. And experts are warning the squeeze is tightening, not easing. But before you think this means people are getting poorer, let me give you the full picture. The middle class isn't just shrinking from the bottom, it's also shrinking from the top. According to Pew, the share of adults in the upper income tier grew from 14% in 1971 to 21% in 2021. So yes, some people are moving up. But here's what the statistics don't tell you. The share in the lower income tier also grew, from 25% to 29%. And most devastatingly, middle-class households now control just 42% of aggregate U.S. income, down from 62% in 1970. Meanwhile, upper-income households have captured 50% of the country's total income. Half of everything. So the rich got significantly richer, a few in the middle moved up, and a growing number got left behind entirely. That is not a healthy economy. That is a hollowing out. Now let's talk about what's actually causing this, because this is where it gets urgent. The number one killer of the middle class right now is the gap between wages and the cost of living. And it is brutal. A median household today earns about $83,700 per year. On paper, that's actually 13% more in real terms than the equivalent household in 1990. So people are earning more, right? So what's the problem? The problem is that the costs of the things that define a middle-class life, housing, healthcare, education, and childcare, have risen far faster than wages ever could. Today's median household earns 13% more than in 1990, but is paying 40% more for their mortgage after adjusting for inflation. Think about that. The paycheck went up 13%. The mortgage bill went up 40%. That gap is where the middle class is disappearing. Housing is the front line of this crisis. Even in smaller towns across America, average rents have topped $1,800 a month, and in urban areas you're easily looking at $3,000 or more. Homeownership, which was once the defining milestone of reaching the middle class, is becoming inaccessible for a growing share of Americans. For those trying to rent, the numbers are just as bad. Nearly 3/4 of Americans said housing has grown more unaffordable in their communities, according to a YouGov poll from late 2025. This is not a fringe opinion. This is almost everyone. Then there's healthcare, which is quietly becoming one of the most dangerous financial threats the middle class faces in 2026. Here's something that will make your stomach drop. If you're one of the 22 million Americans who rely on ACA Marketplace health insurance with an enhanced tax credit, that credit is gone. The government let it expire at the end of 2025. What does that mean in real dollars? KFF estimates that monthly premiums for people in that income range will more than double in 2026, jumping from an average of $888 per month to $1,904. One family interviewed by CBS News said their health premiums are rising 18% to $2,600 a month next year. They're now cutting food spending just to keep their insurance. They said, and I quote, "They're going from a comfortable middle-class lifestyle to eating like they did when they first got out of college." This is happening to people earning good incomes right now. And then there's the grocery bill. A middle-class family of 4 now spends upwards of $1,000 a month on food, even when being careful. Nearly half of all Americans said in a September 2025 Axios survey that groceries are harder to afford than they were a year ago. Only 19% said prices were cheaper. On top of that, utility bills are surging. Americans now pay an average of $265 per month in utility costs, up 12% in just the last year, according to the Century Foundation. In 2025 alone, more than 124 million Americans saw some kind of rate increase in their energy bills. Here's the terrifying bottom line that ties all of this together. According to recent surveys, nearly 3/4 of American workers cannot afford anything beyond basic living expenses. Not saving for retirement, not investing, not building wealth, just surviving. And this strain is no longer limited to low-wage workers. It extends across professional and middle-income occupations. As one financial expert put it, many American households are one flat tire away from financial ruin. One flat tire. Any unexpected expense, a car repair, an ER visit, a broken appliance, can trigger a debt spiral that takes years to escape. Debt is in fact one of the most underreported factors in this collapse. Because wages haven't kept pace with costs, millions of middle-class Americans have been quietly funding their lifestyle on credit cards. And now those cards are maxed out, carrying interest rates of 20%, 25%, even 30%. It's a vicious cycle. The cost of living goes up, wages don't follow, people reach for the card, the interest compounds, and suddenly the middle class isn't living comfortably. They're just staying afloat. So what do you actually do about it? Because I'm not going to leave you with just a list of problems. First, destroy your high-interest debt before anything else. Not invest, not save, destroy the debt. Every dollar sitting on a credit card at 20% interest is costing you more than almost any investment will earn you. This is priority one, full stop. Second, build a real emergency fund. Minimum 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash, not on a credit card. Cash doesn't charge interest, and it doesn't hurt your credit score when you use it. One emergency turning into debt is how middle-class families start sliding backward. Third, look hard at your housing situation. If you're in a high-cost metro area spending more than 30% of your income on rent or mortgage, that single number is likely the biggest threat to your financial future. Relocating to a lower cost of living area is one of the highest return financial moves available to middle-class Americans right now. Fourth, if your employer offers any kind of retirement match in a 401k, you need to be capturing 100% of that match. It is the closest thing to free money that exists in this economy. Any amount you leave on the table is a permanent loss. And fifth, invest in skills that make you harder to replace and more valuable to employers in an economy increasingly shaped by automation and AI. The middle-class jobs disappearing fastest are the routine, predictable ones. The ones surviving and growing are tied to skills that machines can't easily replicate. That's where you want to be. The middle class was built on a promise. Work hard, play by the rules, and you'll have a stable, comfortable life. That promise is under severe strain in 2026. The data is clear. The pressures are real. But knowing what's happening is the first step toward fighting back. Because the people who understand this crisis and act on it are not the ones who disappear. They're the ones who survive it. If this video opened your eyes, hit subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and drop a comment below. Are you feeling this squeeze personally? I want to know. See you in the next one.